Okay, guys, we're going to go ahead and complete this types of consumers foldable. So the first thing I need you to do is take your paper and you're going to fold it in half this way. Okay? Fold it in half that way. First thing you're going to do. The next thing I need you to do is, just like we do on every other foldable we do, I feel like, you're going to cut on the dotted lines just to the fold. You're not cutting all the way through, right? Not cutting all the way, on this page too, just on this top one. So if I were to cut on this dotted line right here, I would cut just to right there. So it would be like that. Okay? Go ahead and cut those real quick. If you need to pause the video at any point, please feel free to do so. Okay, so now that our lines are cut, I'm just going to go ahead and fold them all back in. Fold them all back in. Okay, so let's talk about what is a consumer real quick. What is a consumer? A consumer means that it's an organism that eats other plants and animals for energy. Okay? Energy is what animals need to survive, right? It's what they need to be able to do stuff. So the first time, let's talk about these three down here first. So omnivore, carnivore, herbivore, those talk about what kind of organisms that animal consumes for energy. To consume means to eat. Okay? So omnivore is an animal that eats both plants and animals for energy. So not only does it eat plants such as, flowers, trees, grass, roots, fruits, bark, pollen, leaves, all that kind of stuff. It also eats, though, other animals. So they're able to digest both of those. So organisms, and an organism is just a living thing. Organisms that are able to eat plants and animals. Okay? They can eat both plants and animals. So, can you think of any omnivores that you know of? Yeah, what about humans, us? We eat plants and animals. Humans, deer, rabbits, and I want you to come up with three more. Pause the video, come up with three more. Okay, so that's omnivores. That's one type of consumer. Remember, consume means to eat. Okay, so the next one I want to talk about is carnivore. So carnivores eat what? Meat. Meat, meaning insects and animals. So organisms that eat insects and animals. Let's do this one in pink. So organisms that eat mainly meat, meaning insects and, oh, that's a weird and sign, sorry, and other animals. Okay? So what are some carnivores that you know of? How about lions, sharks, spiders? Okay, those are all types of carnivores, and I want you to come up with three more. Tres más. Okay. Next one I want to talk about is an herbivore. Herbivore. Whatever. Herbivore. Herbivores are very special because they only eat plants. So herbivores are organisms that eat mainly plants. That eat mainly plants. Okay? So again, that's all of those types of plants. So there's grass, leaves, trees, fruits, roots, barks, pollens, yada, 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 flowers, okay? Those are all the types of plants that a herbivore could eat. So what are some herbivores that you know of? Oh, you know what? Humans, deer, and rabbits. Deer and rabbits are herbivores. I don't know what I was thinking. I meant to put bears and monkeys. So go ahead and cross those off because I don't know what I'm talking about, obviously. Bears and monkeys. Miss Hargrove needs spring break. Okay. So herbivores, back to the herbivores. Herbivores include deer and rabbits and cows. Cows. And I want you to come up with 3 more. Okay. So those are the 3 main types of organisms. And then there's a different kind of carnivore that does not attack its food, right? It's not a predator, but it's basically gets the leftovers of what other predators eat. So like the example I gave yesterday, a scavenger may go pick up what a lion kills a gazelle, and a hyena decides to come eat what the lion doesn't want after the lion's already gone. The lion can eat the hyena, though, so the hyena has to make sure that lion's long gone before it starts to go munch on the leftovers, okay? So a scavenger is an organism that feeds on the dead remains of animals left over after, so organism that feeds on the dead remains of animals left over after a predator eats, right? So some different scavengers. We're only going to put 2 examples. We've got hyenas and vultures. Those are our main types of scavengers, okay? And our last one that we're going to talk about is a decomposer. Decompose. What does decompose mean with fractions? Decompose means to break down. So what these guys do is they consume or eat dead plants and animals, and then they decompose them, which means they reduce them to simpler forms of matter. So these are organisms that consume dead plants and animals and decompose or reduce them to simpler forms of matter. So what do you think they break them down into? What about humus? Because that's where these organisms mainly live, is in is in the soil. So they break it down and all those nutrients go back into the soil and help the plants, the producers grow, okay? So some different kinds of decomposers are fungi, which are like mushrooms, and then all kind of bacteria. Bacteria are really good at this, okay? All right, guys, we'll talk more about this later. Thanks.